Hello, Angela. If you're watching this right now, it means I've been murdered. And you know exactly what to do to my killers. I'm just kidding. If you're watching this right now, you are in Dr. Detweiler's digital rhetoric class. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about doing podcasts. Just a couple of quick hints that could help you produce your own or help others to produce their own if that's what they want to do. The first thing that I tell everyone is that you want to have a niche audience. You don't necessarily need to do everything for everyone all the time. Just a small number on the internet is a surprisingly large number overall. So that's the thing. Keep it small. The next thing is you want to end every podcast with some sort of call to action. You want to let people know that there's some sort of ending, that there's some sort of finality to your podcast, and that there's also a routine to it. And when I say call to action, it could just be something as small as checking out the website or the app of one of your sponsors, or just something like reminding them to tune in next week for the podcast. The next point, remember, it's just an extension of blogging. Podcasts, even though they're a little bit more collaborative, you're still doing the same thing, which is getting your ideas out there through the internet, using your words. It's just words that are spoken more so than just written down. But if that kind of helps you, wrap your mind around it, I found that could help things move along. The next point is know your competition, and because these people can also be your collaborators. What other people are doing podcasts on the topics that you're doing them on? It doesn't necessarily mean that you are on each other's corner and that there's a direct competition. But sometimes you may want to listen to other podcasts in your field so that you're not being overly repetitive. Oftentimes people come up with the same ideas independently of each other. Something else to keep in mind too is that you may have your spin on a very specific topic. Someone else may have their spin on that same topic, and it may be different enough to where you can be on each other's podcasts. The next point, podcasts are like threesomes. Somebody's going to get left out. The key is to just leave out the right thing, meaning you just need about 3 topics, no more, per episode. Don't try to squeeze everything in. It's okay to leave things for the next podcast, for the next episode. Leave the 2-3 hour podcast to Joe Rogan and Dan Carlin. Like most people only want to see or only want to hear no more than an hour. The next point, what emotions do you want to associate with your topic? And be sure to communicate that. Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it just a sense of humor? Keep the emotional content in mind. It's not just your intellectual ideas. It's not just your logos, but the pathos that you're presenting. Next thing, when interviewing someone, ask open-ended questions. There's nothing wrong with silence. We shouldn't be afraid of silence, but sometimes dead air, especially in an audio podcast, can slow things down a little bit. If you're doing a podcast with a friend, this may not be an issue because more than likely the two of you have such good rapport that a yes or no question can still lead to good answers, good banter, things like that. But if it's someone you don't really know and you maybe just met 5-10 minutes before the podcast started, open-ended questions are a good way to go. The last thing is avoid alliteration always. If you keep these things in mind, you should be on your way to producing a good podcast. Thanks. Hope this was helpful.